next show starts, let's enjoy an intermission. You'll find our snack bar chock full of good things to eat and drink. Tasty, tempting hot dogs, thirst-quenching soft drinks, fresh, crunchy popcorn, a complete assortment of delicious candy, and a full line of cigarettes. You've plenty of time, so visit the snack bar now. A tasty treat will double your enjoyment of the show. For your convenience, we shall keep you informed of the remaining intermission time, 3 minutes before the next show starts.
Chocolate malt in a can.
It's so good hot. It's so good cold.
It hits the spot with young and old.
Yes, toddy pleases everybody. Delicious chocolate malted toddy, made with rich, real milk, not powdered milk.
So come and get it, everybody. It's time to drink your chocolate toddy.
Just a minute, folks. Yes, that's all it takes to visit our refreshment counter in the lobby.
See, now I've come on and I forgot to turn my mic on. See how I am? See how I am? What I was saying before was there was a photo of Paula Mikar in the beginning there, or Paula Parizak from back in the day. And the thing is, she was going to be with us tonight, but she couldn't because she is in rehearsals for some Shakespeare thing that she's doing. Okay? So we know that. Now, what are we doing tonight? Well, first I want to tell you, I want to remind you guys, I want to remind everybody out there that's in Orlando, well, because it wouldn't do you any good if you're from somewhere else, unless you're coming down real soon, real fast. Tomorrow, again, at 11:30 to 1 p.m. at the Plaza Live, Feed the Need, artists helping artists. We're going to be out there giving some lunch and hopefully some produce and that sort of thing, and we're excited about that, as we always are on Fridays during the week. Now, right now, that's only going to the end of this month, unless something really good happens, and I'm hoping something really good happens. Okay, so right now we've got all that out of the way. Business has been attended to. I do not know what next week's show is going to be, although I may have gotten an idea tonight, only a little while ago, but we'll see about that. Because I've actually got a couple of ideas, but I really haven't asked anybody yet, so I'll get around to that. Anyways, we might even do a repeat. You never know. You never know with me. So right now, I'm going to introduce you to the one, You'll notice I'm giving him time to get prepared. I'm giving him time to get prepared. He's okay. He's adjusting his chest. Good. Are they in the right place? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, here is James Cichocki. Hey, James.
You tell me.
Oh dear, I can't hear you. Now I can. You look lovely. You look.
Thank you, sir.
Let me move my camera here because otherwise I'm over there, and that. But I do like what's behind me. That is one of my favorite places in the universe, and I haven't seen it in a long, long time. Maybe next year, good Lord willing, and all that good kind of stuff. We got a big 4 people in the house. What's going on with you, James? Anything new?
Not so much in the last week. Business as usual.
This is very strange.
Pardon?
You're on a strange. You're on a strange. What do you call it? Pause. You talk, and then it's almost as if you're in a Japanese movie with subtitles.
Okay. Is that still happening?
Exactly. It just did it again. Yes.
Maybe I'll catch up at some point.
You know what? Could you do? Yes, or could you try maybe popping out and popping back in?
Sure. Give me a second, and
okay.
I'll be right back.
And I will bring. In the meantime, I will bring Michael in. And Michael. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, you're doing that Japanese movie too.
Am I really?
Yeah. Like the picture will freeze, and we'll still hear you talking.
Isn't that? Let me try this. Hang on a second.
Well, hello, folks. While Joe is adjusting, thank you.
Did that help? Is that better?
At the moment, yes.
Okay, let's see how long that lasts.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's wonderful to see you again, Michael.
Thank you so much. I had such a good time last week.
Did you notice my special tribute to you in the opening opening section there? There was a little special portion put in there just for you of the Tin Man.
Oh, I saw the Tin Man. Yes, because now I am partial Tin.
Indeed.
Yes.
And let's see if this helped James. James.
How am I doing now?
Now you are as if you're actually here. That's good.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Hi, James.
Hi, Michael.
How are you, honey?
Apparently, I was on some sort of lag before, and it was like I was in a translated Godzilla film. So I popped out and I popped back in, and apparently I'm up to speed now.
Good. You're good about being in and out.
We've got some we got some friends. I got some friends in the house tonight. My dear friend, Jack Ledoux, who sometimes co-hosts the show with me. And she is probably one of my if not my all-time favorite. She's in the top couple of female co-stars I've ever had on stage. She is wonderful, wonderful to work with. Jack is, and just a delight. Now, folks, if you're in the room, what I'd like you to do at one point or another, please tell me where you're from. I want to know you're here, and I want to know where you're from, so I can actually see you. I can actually see what's going on. It's a rare thing that I get to see who's here and where you're from. But I'd like to know where you're from. I know I got people. We've got 4 people tonight, guys. Yeah, we are hot.
Does that include us?
No, I don't think. Oh. No, I don't think so. Unless you guys are watching the feed. Actually, we might have less than that because I might be watching. No, I don't think I am. I'm not watching. I didn't start. So we're up to 5. Who cares? We're going to have fun anyways. Michael.
Yes, sir.
We weren't sure what we're going to do this week, what we're going to talk about, but Matt Barry Backhouse is from Sydney, Australia, down under. He's in the audience tonight, and Nat was actually with me in Osaka doing the long. He was what a dear friend. I'm so lucky to have him in my life. I truly am. I mean that. He's a wonderful, wonderful person. Wonderful person. Now, Michael, you and I were talking. I think it was earlier. Well, a couple of times we've just started talking back and forth a little bit, and we were talking about what we're going to talk about tonight. And you had some interesting ideas. You want to get us started with something?
Well, I thought, well, where to begin? Let's see. We had talked about maybe, talking about our personal lives, because a lot of times when you're in show business, people don't really get to know you. They know you, the onstage persona, and not you, the person. What do you do every day at home? Because a lot of times, people would say, "Oh, you're so different off stage." Well, yeah, I am. I'm a regular person. I go to the bathroom. I do laundry.
Oh my God.
What?
You go to the bathroom. Oh, yeah. It's very funny though, and you guys might. But if you ever met someone who's a fan, so to speak, and you meet them I wouldn't meet them in the ladies' room because I wouldn't be in there, but you meet them in the men's room. It's a very strange thing sometimes when that happens. People are different people in the men's room or in the restroom than they are anywhere else in the world, I think.
Yes. So I just thought, as James, has been, we've been in the same city for the past 5 years since I got back, and I haven't seen him. But I'm not complaining. I'm just throwing out the Italian guilt. But I really don't know what's going on in his personal life. So, James?
Yeah, James, what is going on for you? I know you're doing some interesting projects. Talk to us.
So I left Buffalo in '88, and I lived in New York City for 13 years. And then I lived in Houston for 13 years. And while I was in Houston, I went back to school. And in the matter of 7 years, I knocked out my associate's, my bachelor's, and my master's degrees. Wow. All while working full time, so I had no life whatsoever. I moved back 6 years ago. I worked for the Philharmonic for a while, first in special events, and then as the manager of Kleinhans. Now I'm working on a project with a group called Ascension for the Arts. We are converting an old Episcopalian church in my neighborhood, which I live in the Allentown section, right north of downtown. And we are converting it into a performing arts venue and community center. With 2 different performing spaces and rehearsal space and office space, and
what type
really
of
kind
shows?
of cool.
What type of shows? What type of shows?
Well, we're hoping to be. There are so many little what we call gypsy theater companies here in town that don't have their own space, and they rely on other people's spaces to be able to produce their shows. We want to be a home to a lot of these little gypsy companies, but we will produce on our own as well. And we're looking to produce the work of local playwrights, actually. We have a lot of really talented playwrights here, and they are writing a lot of really super stuff. So we want to be able to give them a voice as well. Awesome. In addition to that, I've been working with the Elmwood Village Association on their membership drive. So I've kind of got my hands in all sorts of nonprofits here in Buffalo.
And what about personally? Like,
personally,
home? Are you in a relationship? Are you?
No.
Have you read his Facebook lately?
I am an AIDS widow. I have been for many years. I am single. I love being single. I live alone with my soon-to-be 11-year-old special needs rescue dog, Isabel, who is a black lab. And like I said, I live right outside of downtown. I'm one of those rare birds that actually is happy living alone. Live alone and like it, like they say, you know.
Now, while you were in New York, you were part of that, I don't know what to call it, that bunch of people, club kids, is that true?
I was a club kid, yes.
Would you be kind enough to elaborate on that and perhaps tell us about one or two adventures?
When I first moved to New York in 1988, I started going to clubs, and my upstairs neighbor at the time was Buffalo costume designer Lee Chappell.
Mhm.
And Lee and I started promoting for the Saturday nights at the legendary El Morocco. And by doing that, we made all these great contacts, and we started doing our own thing. Lee has run with it. Lee still throws parties at major New York City nightclubs to this day. So I was one of the original club kids. If you've ever seen the film Party Monster, about that whole decadent lifestyle, those were my friends.
And really, did you know like that guy, the Party Monster guy, the weird one, the one that I don't know,
Michael Allig?
They were all a little strange.
Michael Allig, who the film is based on. I knew him fairly well when I lived in New York, and Angel, the gentleman that he murdered, was my next door neighbor.
No shit. Wow.
Yep. We lived in a building on 17th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, and he literally, I used to knock on my living room wall to see if he was home.
No kidding. And then he knocked that he wasn't, I guess. Oh my goodness. Wow, that must have been rather traumatic, I would imagine.
It was fun for a while, and then after a while, it just gets really tiring. And
with the murder of your friend, because I went through the same thing in 2001 with a fellow Buffalonian, Ricky Morato. Do you remember Ricky?
James? I don't.
Jimmy Dombrowski. Do you remember Jimmy? Jimmy and Ricky were partners, and
okay.
And when I was living in Las Vegas, Ricky moved to Vegas, and we got reacquainted, and it was really wonderful. And he was murdered, and that was very traumatic for me.
Do we know now? Okay, let's go with this. This is interesting. I mean, it's not too hard to talk about.
Well, I just wanted to know how James dealt with that when he was going through, because we dealt with cancer and AIDS, but dealing with murder for me was very.
He was a neighbor. I mean, and we were friendly, but he wasn't someone that I would particularly call a really close friend. And the details of his murder were so incredibly lurid and so incredibly public. I mean, they hit him on the head with a hammer, and they dismembered him, and they soaked him in acid, and then they tossed him in a box into the river. So, and that was all detailed.
And in the North, that was probably mild, quite frankly. I hate to say that.
Ricky was pretty horrific in Vegas also.
What was there? James, what was there? I'm trying. What was there? Why did they do that?
Outstanding drug debt.
You're shitting me.
Nope.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Now, Michael.
Yes.
What happened in your case?
Well, Ricky had his aunt had passed away and left him her home in Las Vegas. And when Ricky came back, I thought, a friend from Buffalo. And we were hanging out and doing things. And that year on Thanksgiving, it was his birthday, and baked him a big cake, and he came over. And then we were going to do Christmas Eve at my house and Christmas Day at his house. But he wanted to make a lasagna at my house. So all week before Christmas, I'm calling and no answer. Now, it wasn't like him not to call back right away. But this was just when cell phones were starting in 2001. And I got a call on the 22nd of December that he had been murdered. And at that point, no one knew who the murderer was. It wasn't until 2 months later that we found out. And I was looking through mugshots. I had to intervene for the family at the funeral home to get his body sent back to Buffalo because they wanted to bury him right after Christmas. And that's all I got to say goodbye to was a box. Sure. The word head at the top of the box. And then I had to testify at the trial. I was a character witness for Ricky. And it's interesting, as forgiving of a person as I try to be, sitting in that courtroom and seeing the man who murdered him and knowing how horrific what he did to him, I wanted to jump over the railing and strangle him.
Wow.
He was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. And now I've gone through the forgiveness stages, and I was just talking to my partner about it about a week or two ago, about I really want to write to his murderer and tell him, the forgiveness is there.
Well, that's extraordinarily generous of you, quite frankly.
I'm sorry?
That's extraordinarily generous of you.
Well, I think it's important. I think it's important when what happened. I mean, it was really bad. A lot of stabbing, dismembering, stuff like that. And
who do you people hang out with? You both.
I know, really. So they had they wanted to go after the death penalty for him, but Ricky's mother said, no, I don't want that because I already lost my son. I don't want this other mother to lose hers. Oh. And after the sentencing phase of the trial, the two moms were in the hallway, hugging each other and crying. Wow. Well, so was everybody else around crying too. Yeah, it was an incredible display of forgiveness, of generosity, of love. And I'll never forget that moment watching those two women embracing. Yeah, pretty incredible.
That's something.
Yeah,
that was something.
Pretty incredible.
Wow. Okay.
Now to another subject, since we're already on the subject of death.
Yeah, thank you.
Tomorrow is tomorrow is
last week was all 11th. Like rainbows and sunshine, and this week it's like dismemberment and like.
What is tomorrow?
September 11th.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
Yes.
It is.
I thought it would be nice just to at least mention it so that we all remember. James, were you there at the time?
I was there. I was working downtown on Lafayette and Great Jones at a restaurant called Time Cafe. And we were working, I was working the breakfast into lunch shift. And our delivery guy came in and said, a plane just hit the World Trade Center. And so literally the whole restaurant, customers, staff, everyone piled outside, went across the street to a vacant parking lot, because from there you could look right down Lafayette and see the Trade Center. And sure enough, one was burning. And then from our vantage point, and a woman next to me just started going, oh my God. And that's when we could see the second plane flying towards the towers. From our vantage point, it disappeared behind the towers, and then a big thing of flame just rolled up. I saw both towers fall that day. We stayed open because we just provided food and water and telephone to anyone that came by, and people were covered in dust and rubble. I lived downtown also. I had to show my driver's license to even get into my neighborhood because the National Guard was on every corner checking to make sure that you lived there. And there were NYPD was on every corner handing out those white construction masks to everyone because the air, it was like breathing in like hot metal. And we were a half mile away and it was still that bad.
Wow.
The plane took out all of the antennas, and I didn't have cable. I only had local rabbit ear television, so I had no television, and I couldn't get the news of what was going on. So I would leave my apartment and I would walk to St. Vincent's Hospital because the local ABC affiliate was filming outside of there constantly and keeping people updated. And so I would stand there at the ropes and listen to her do the news live so that I knew what was going on. My brother at the time was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, and he was supposed to be at the Pentagon that day.
Huh.
That morning, he found out that his flight was canceled. Otherwise, he would have been at the Pentagon at that same time.
Wow.
Wow. Well, it's interesting. You know, I guess everybody's got, you know, it's like people of my mom's generation would know where they were when Kennedy was shot, when they heard that.
I know where I was, and I'm not your mom's generation.
Well, how old were you when that happened, Michael?
I was 5 years old.
Okay, but I mean,
I was in the hardware store with my grandmother, and the news came over the radio, and the gentleman hardware store guy and my grandmother both started crying.
sure.
And I just remember as a little boy, the black and white television and sitting in front of that TV for 3 days,
Yeah.
and my parents saying, "You can't play, no playing. You have to just sit and watch it."
Now that was 63.
3.
So I was 2 years old when that happened. Now, when 9/11 happened, I was considerably older. I can't tell you exactly how old I don't remember. Okay, but I can tell you I was in Tokyo, and I was performing for Tokyo Disney Sea. We had just opened the park. I don't know how long before that happened. We opened the park, and I was actually sitting in my room, and I was on at that time back in the remember AOL chat. Rooms? I was in one of the chat rooms, desperately loving the fact that I was speaking with people in English, because everything around me was Japanese. You know, television was Japanese. Now, the only TV that we really had, there was a movie channel in English. I think it was like TMC or something like that, but they only had ancient movies on. And then we also had CNN. We had CNN. Yay! So we're in the room, we're chatting away, and it's, you know, lovely. We're laughing and this and that. And someone comes in and says, "Wow, a plane just slammed into the World Trade Center." And I said, "That's not fun." I typed in, "That's not funny." And I was now, this is an apartment building, okay, where all the gaijin, all the Americans, Australians, whatever, anybody who wasn't Japanese that was working at Tokyo Disney Sea stayed in this place, Russians. Anyways, I'm sitting there and I go, well, that can't be. So I flipped the channel on, you know, CNN, just in time to see I'm pointing at you, Jake, just in time to see the second plane hit the tower. And realized instantly, I said, oh my God, we're fucked. We're at war.
Yeah, we're under attack. Right.
And until that second plane hit, we all just thought that it was a horrible accident.
Right.
Exactly.
Actually, I thought it was a fire. I was in Las Vegas, and I woke up. I had the news on. I saw the building, and I called my dad in Arizona, and I said, "Dad, the World Trade Center is on fire," because they hadn't confirmed yet what caused.
Yeah, well, they didn't
fire.
know. Yeah, the first
Right,
one,
at
they
first.
had no idea.
Yeah, and then I saw the second plane hit on TV, and then the Pentagon. And when the Pentagon was hit, I freaked out. I really did. I was terrified
You
because,
realized immediately this is real.
you know, who knows what's going to happen at this point. The one thing I remember doing was we had several elderly people in my apartment building, and I went to each of them and asked them if they needed anything from the store. And I went and got lots of water and batteries and flashlights and all that other stuff, and got my
Because you just don't
neighbors.
know what's going to happen. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, I got my neighbors things that they might need. So they had fresh batteries, they had water and stuff like that.
You're awesome.
And brought it home to the to my elderly neighbors at the time, and then just sat in front of the television for the next few days, you know,
Well,
watching.
you know, this is in the interesting. I'll tell you, being in the situation I was in, I think there were, I don't know how many. This was a huge apartment building, just like I say, just for the Americans, etc. The gaijin, the non-Japanese, and you know, my friend Peter, who was my opposite, playing the mayor, was just down the thing from me, and I call it the hall, but it was actually outside, the balcony. And I remember sitting there going, just stunned. And we all stepped out of our apartments for just a moment, and we all looked at each other and went, oh my God, and stepped back in to start watching again. And the doors were all open.
Right.
But I do remember, I'll never forget this as long as I live. I'll never forget this. I was freaking out because Chris worked at that time at, he worked up until some years ago, but Walt Disney World. And he was working at the Animal Kingdom Park. And of course, I hadn't heard from him. Obviously. Why would I? You know what I'm saying? But at one point, I know they said it. Other people heard it too. They said there was a plane that they thought might be heading for Walt Disney World. Well, I was beside myself. I was literally beside myself. And that may have been the one that went down in Pennsylvania. Who the hell knows? I don't know. But a lot of stuff is, of course, if they want to really and truly, they were hitting at icons. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They were going for icons.
Yeah, that's why they closed the Stratosphere Tower in Las Vegas that day. And all the shows went dark, too.
What more huge icon is there than Walt Disney World crashing into the castle?
Right.
Fuck up
and my poor parents, they had one son who lived and worked in downtown Manhattan, and they had one son who the last they heard was on his way to the Pentagon, and then no one could get through on the phone lines. The phone lines in Manhattan were all jammed. When I finally got through to my parents, all they said was, "For God's sakes, call your grandmother."
Well, sure. It was and I'll tell you, Disney World was unprecedented. They never until a couple 3 months ago, where they closed the place down. Oh my God! But they
evacuated.
The announcement was, "Get out!" They closed.
Yeah. Right.
I don't remember whether they opened the next day or not. And Chris is in the house, so I can't ask him. But he would remember that distinctly. But they were doing a show, and they actually, I think the show actually stopped mid-show, and they said, "Folks, y'all got to leave." Basically, they were very controlled, but they closed the park down. Wow.
The interesting thing about 9/11 is drastic as it was. I remember every member of Congress, and I know we're not getting political, but I remember that night, every member of Congress standing outside and the Capitol singing "God Bless America."
You know what? I do remember. I'm a really patriotic person. I really love this country. I truly do.
And it was just such an incredible sight to see at that moment. There was no division. At that moment, we as a country really became united as one. We all had our American flags on our cars and outside our houses, and the country came together in a moment of crisis of not only, but of 3,000 Americans. Yeah. And now we're up to almost 200,000 from COVID. So I thought it would be nice that
It would be nice. It would be nice, but
I was thinking in memory of the 3,000 of 9/11 and those fellow Americans who have died from COVID, to just take a moment, if you don't mind, of silence, and so we can just have even people that are watching us tonight to just remember, because we always say 9/11, never forget. And it's probably going to be a thing about COVID too that we should never forget.
So, well, let's do a moment of silence for just that right now. Just for I'm going to give it about 10. Here we go. And God bless all those people, and I hope they're whatever they worship, whatever they believe in is with
them. So tell me, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? It's again fascinating. We were all three of us were
were in major cities. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Tokyo. In the middle, we've got Las Vegas, and on the end, we got New York. Well, we're missing, I guess, Los Angeles. There you go. Fascinating. So
it was rather beautiful, and it was rather beautiful in New York, because you would just be walking down a street, and you would come upon a spontaneous prayer circle with 30 complete strangers who just decided to get together and love and appreciate each other.
Right.
And that's what I try to remember when I look back on that period of my life. If I remember the dark part of it, it does trigger me a little.
Yeah.
So I try to remember going to Union Square Park and finding hundreds of people of all denominations and atheists and Christians and Buddhists, all just sitting together and just loving each other as New Yorkers and being there and supporting each other.
Yeah.
The crowds outside of St. Vincent's Hospital. St. Vincent's became famous in the 80s because it was the hospital where you went to die from AIDS. And it also became famous again at 9/11 because it's where people went, and they posted on the wall outside of St. Vincent's all of the people that they couldn't find.
I remember that.
I think that might have been the same place they did it for Titanic, believe it or not. I'm not positive of that, but they did the same thing, No, that was outside the White Sour offices. Never mind.
And we are 3 survivors of the AIDS war, by the way. Yes, we are 3 survivors.
Tokyo.
It's important to focus on the positive, I think,
Yeah,
and try to remember, like you said, the way that we all came together after it happened.
I think those people in Japan, ladies, old ladies, old Japanese ladies, who would just look at you and go, "It's gonna be okay."
Oh, sweet.
And when you think about the fact, I'm an American, boy, they really shouldn't like me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I actually went to Hiroshima the last time I was there, and I spent 2 days there. What lovely, charming, delightful, welcoming people the Japanese are. I went into the museum there, and there's relics, things from what it was, what happened. One of the relics is a tricycle. There was a little guy there, a little Japanese kid, who all he knew that was a tricycle, and he got excited. And it just about broke my heart.
Oh, sure.
It was a mess.
Well, that's what the forgiveness, which we were talking about at the beginning, the forgiveness has to be there. I'm finding it difficult right now because we are so divided as a country. When I see people on the other side of my beliefs, and I think, oh, I'm so angry at these people, but I need to get to a point of forgiveness, and I'm not yet sure how to get there. Eventually, eventually we will come back together. I think our country is strong enough that we will survive COVID and everything else we're going through right now.
You have to wonder, we're currently going through a crisis that at this point has already killed 70 times the people that were killed on 9/11. And we are, instead of coming together as a country, we are more divided than we have been in 50, 60 years.
I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime.
It's fascinating. It really is. And it's interesting. What's even more interesting, what we're talking about right now, and the way we're talking about it, and putting things together like that, is I've not seen anybody do this on network television. I don't know if it has happened, but I've not seen it if it has. Okay, and I think that's an interesting thing. I think it's time that regular people, just like we're doing now, we are not. There's nobody here who's a star. You know what I'm saying? No matter how much I'd like to believe that about all of us, quite frankly, but we're regular people and we get it. We understand ourselves.
Right.
What people are going through.
When I'm online, you all know Michael Lowe. Michael Lowe on Facebook likes to stir the pot, and he will just get in there and then get everybody arguing, and he sits at home and laughs about it. But
I don't laugh at him at all. You know damn well how I feel about it.
I know, but he likes stirring the pot.
Sure. So do I.
Anyway, he what I've tried to do with a couple of friends, again, a couple of his friends that are on the opposite side of my beliefs, is I've tried to find common ground with these people, whether it's through, did you see Hamilton on Disney? I posted something the other day about God Bless America, the song, that, no matter who we are or where we are, let's just sing that song and take a breath and relax. And so I've tried to do that. I've tried to find common ground. And to some degree, it's been difficult, because when you want to try to explain something like, no, we don't want to kill babies after they're born, which is one of the big things.
We're getting
too political. Okay, I'm sorry.
So I'm going to change the subject real quick because my phone went off. You can't see it because it's green. But I got a new iPhone 11 because I dropped my phone on my bike and then proceeded to run over my phone as well. And the price was right. Anyways, this is cool. But I just got a text. You ready for this? It says, subject, Shannon. Message, I am Shannon. What songs do you play for the bedroom, if any? What the hell is that?
Well, here's something. If you go on YouTube and you type in your search songs for sex, you will find long playlists. You could have 8 hours of sexual stuff.
But me, personally, in the bedroom, lately, with the past how many years, the Bridge Over Troubled Waters. The Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Try doing it when you're half a Tin Man.
I got nothing. James, what do you play? What do you play in the bedroom, James?
Chanel no, wrong answer. Actually, there's a great song that I always used to. It's kind of my version of Al Green, like to put them in the mood. But back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a Bryan Adams song called Slave to Love. It was in that movie 9.5 Weeks with Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger, which I thought was a really sexy movie. That song always kind of got me in the mood,
There you go. And Michael,
come on, there's got to be songs that you would associate with that,
I got to be very honest. I'm going to say I am a real snob, nerd, whatever you want to call me. Musical comedy I can listen to all day long, with the possible exception of Hamilton. I would rather puke. Okay, I don't like it. It's not my thing. I did not enjoy it.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much. But let me tell you, when I was watching it and someone said, well, here's you get there. Now, this is funny. When I was watching it, someone said, well, you got to watch it with the subtitles or you won't get it. What in the name of God? I have to watch with subtitles so I'm going to understand the show? No. Do they have subtitles on Broadway? And it was just like when I went to see Rent in New York. I did not like Rent. Yes, I didn't like it. Life is like that. I went to see Rent, and we got in there, and we're sitting in the theater was a dump, number one, which made sense with the show. I get it. But I'm sitting there, and I watched the whole first act, and I said out loud, I did not realize I was saying it out loud. I said, I have absolutely no idea what the hell just happened. All I know is there were 40 people on stage screaming at me.
I see old people.
Yes.
And then, wait, it gets better. This gets better. And then this old lady, there's a bunch of old ladies in front of me, turns around and says to me, well, this, and this, and this, and this, and this is what happened. And it all made sense. And I said, ma'am, forgive me, but you got that from what you just watched? She said, "Oh no, they gave us notes on the bus on the way here."
See,
I got to show you Cliff's notes.
And with Hamilton, I had the soundtrack and listened to it many times before I actually saw the play or the musical. So I already knew what was happening. I knew the score. I was familiar with it, and I just fell in love with it. I mean, the genius of Lin-Manuel Miranda is amazing.
Let me say this: the performances. I watched this on the Disney thing. Disney Plus. The performances, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Okay, wonderful, brilliant, but. Who the fuck cared? I mean, it just did not work for me.
Now, the best for me, the absolute best ending of first act of any musical that I have ever seen was Wicked. When Elphaba goes up in the air and she sings Defying Gravity. I was in San Francisco when I saw it for the first time with Eden Espinosa was playing Elphaba. I couldn't speak during intermission. I literally could not speak. I just stood there and went.
And folks know this is an amazing thing. Michael LaRocca speechless. You don't see that.
I was literally speechless. It was yes, my beloved The Wizard of Oz is my hobby, but to her performance and her voice and the special effects and I couldn't speak. I mean, I'm getting choked up now. Yeah.
I want to be entertained. Okay. I love to be entertained. I'm a magician. I love to be fooled. I love to be fooled. I am front row center for Penn and Teller Fool Us every week. And then when Penn debunks I know what's going on. But when Penn debunks stuff, and sometimes I don't want to know. I'll just turn it off. I'll say, okay, I'm not going to watch that part. Now, James, for you, shows. What show hits you the same way it hit Michael?
Well, the end of Act One, you bring up like the spectacular end of Act One number. Sunday in the Park with George.
Oh.
When he walks them around and puts them all in place, and then the frame comes in, and they are the painting. Mm-hmm. That always has just blown me away, and that final tender moment between Mandy Patinkin and Bernadette Peters, it's just so beautiful. They had this. I always thought their chemistry in that show was incredible, and so that last moment is just so touching. I love that musical. It's weird. I always thought that Act Two was kind of extraneous. Like the first time I saw it. And Act One ended, and I was like, that was the best thing I've ever seen in my intermission. What? And then I saw Act Two, and I was like, this is not as good. This is not as good.
That's what it was necessary.
Yeah. But apparently he workshopped the first act, and everyone loved it, and they said, you need to add a second act, and he threw it together, and that's what you see.
Well, if you want to sell it, you got to do that. Yeah, exactly. But I'm very old school. I could still watch Oklahoma again. Well, yeah, I could.
I love Rodgers and Hammerstein, but not Oklahoma or Carousel. Give me Cinderella.
Oh, see, I love Carousel.
Cinderella. Sound of Music. I'll watch. But Oklahoma and Carousel for some reason just. And we did the show.
I know. No,
and Carousel hasn't aged well. I mean, it's really rapey.
Oh yeah, very much.
I mean, it's really, really rapey, and she's really forgiving. Like, yeah, he raped me, but like he's cute, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it fascinates me. The shows, many shows don't age well. Let's be honest. Oklahoma ages well because there's nothing in it that everything that's there. I mean, today I believe this wholeheartedly that that is one of those shows that you could to a wonderful mixed interracial cast.
Have you seen the new version of Oklahoma? Have you seen the clips of it? I don't like it.
I've seen bits and bobs of it. I don't. Again, it's still Oklahoma, but it's weird.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
the
I didn't
actress
mind
who plays Adewale,
yeah, she was wonderful. I
she's
didn't mind
super
her.
talented.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind her in a wheelchair, but I just thought the concept, the way they conceptualized that version of it, I didn't like.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting.
They just kind of went for a more realistic, less idealized kind of that typical Rodgers and Hammerstein Sunny palette type of thing.
Well, when Gail directed our Oklahoma, she wanted it to be cartoonish. All the costumes were designed that looked like they came out of a coloring book.
Yes, they did.
Remember? Yeah, it was fascinating. But there are so many amazing shows that I've seen in my lifetime. But it's funny, we were talking about shows we've done. The last musical I actually did, James, was Cabaret. When we did Cabaret, that was the last musical theater performance I did.
Cabaret?
Huh?
Wow, that was like 86, right?
Yes, that was the last musical theater show I ever did. I went into Miss America, went into my nightclub work in Vegas, and I haven't done a musical theater production since Cabaret.
You know how long ago that was, Michael?
Yeah, that was my last time doing an actual.
That was 34 years ago.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Now, in my show in Vegas, I play about 14 different characters in the show.
I remember distinctly that show. I remember that show. So, do you remember that kid, the little Nazi poster boy? He really was a Hitler Youth poster boy. Yes, was that David? The kid, the little Hitler Youth poster boy who sang "The Son on the
Yeah, but who was it in our show?
It was David something, I think.
Yes. He was very, very Aryan.
Because there was another boy that was in. There were 4 of us Kit Kat girls, and the other guy was also a James. We were both Jameses, and I remember that Sue Samansky was one of the Kit Kat girls, and the other Jan. Jan got married to the guy who played Cliff.
That we both slept with. Never mind. We won't talk about
I wasn't going to say that, but
I did that role.
Hey, Tim, if you're out there.
Guys are terrible. I'm trying to get away from that.
You said we could talk about sex.
You can talk whatever you want. I don't care.
It wasn't a casting couch, though. We all slept.
Did Gail direct Cabaret
after? No, Tom Tricoli did.
But Gail directed at the Jewish Center. And I did that. I did that same role for her over there back in the day when I actually had a voice. I sang that song. I remember the reviewer said, if this dulcet tenor quartet, if they weren't singing about the fatherland, could have been singing the Whiffenpoof song. Really high praise, and it took us a while to figure that out. But this kid, I remember distinctly. This kid, he was young. He had that very pasty. He was about as white as a person could be.
Somebody has said, James, didn't you save all the program books from back then? Because I know you had Dolly.
I didn't have them, and then after my parents both passed away and my oldest brother went through all of their things, he sent me a box, and my parents had saved every program of every show I had done since I was 12 years old. In my mother's handwriting in the corner is like what year it is and what date it is, and so I think I have a Cabaret program somewhere. I still hang out with Julie Kitsley.
At the end of the first act, in that Cabaret, the backdrop, I'll never forget. It was so striking. It was so powerful. The backdrop, the end of the first act, boom, on that Rubens stage, the entire backdrop was a big Nazi flag.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yep.
That was so striking. That was so striking.
And the late John Biscaglia was in that production.
Yes.
John passed away a few years ago. Mary Kate O'Connell was in that production.
He played
Bergasser. Mark Bergasser was Herr Schultz.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, he
Yep.
boy, he looks completely different than he does.
Doesn't he? He's amazing. We went to high school together. So
He and Mary Kate and I did a Zoom show together during this pandemic.
oh, really?
It was kind of interesting. Like, wow, I haven't worked with you in 35 years, so here we go.
Yeah, I asked Mary Kate. Oh, I want to tell you this. I asked Mary Kate if she could come in and be with us tonight, and Mary Kate said, and I quote, "Well, I'm going to have a lawn party maybe that night. Depends on the weather, etc. It's God love her. I mean, that's okay. It's fine." And thank God she told me that Johnny Jenska was also invited, because I was going to ask Johnny Jenska to be on the show tonight.
Okay.
If nobody else could do it.
And before we close, I have to do something real quick. Kenny, my partner, was going to have our kids, Barnaby and Pippin, watching tonight. So, hi, kids. Hi, Barnaby. Hi, Pippin.
You know what the dogs are doing right now? They're like this. If they're like mine, they're like that.
I just promised them that I would wave to them.
I used to talk to them. I used to talk to my dog from Japan when I was in Japan.
Yeah.
And Chris would tell me, oh, he's loving it. He's loving it. But then when I got home, Chris said, actually, he wasn't really listening.
Yeah.
But
Well, Barnaby is named after Barnaby Tucker in Hello Dolly, because I played Barnaby when I was 18. And Pippin is named after Pippin when I played Pippin twice.
God, I played those roles too.
Yeah.
Well, and I was your Barnaby.
Yes, you were.
I
Yes,
didn't play either of those roles. I want you to know. I didn't.
Joe wasn't it Spencer? Is that your dog's name? Was that your dog's name? Webster.
And he's not named after the kid on the. Yes, Tom Cichocki. Dear God, Tom Cichocki. No. Yeah, Webster. Tommy Cichocki would say, "Oh, he's like the little black kid on the show." No, Tom, he's not.
He looks like Toto, your dog.
Yes, and you could actually hear Tommy when Tommy typed that, but I could actually hear Tommy saying that in my head. I could hear
the anniversary of his death is coming up too this month.
But that dog was named. We bought that dog at the flea market in Webster, Florida. Not long after my Lucky and my other Thurston passed away, my Shih Tzu passed away. When the Shih Tzu, I said, "That's it, Chris. We can't do this anymore. No more dogs." This little bastard is sitting in a cage, looking like, "Okay, you need me. I need you." And son of a bitch, he's a great dog, and we named him Webster almost instantly. The flea market.
Right. Kenny calls Pippin his redheaded stepchild because I had Pippin when he came into my life. I already had Pippin. So it's his redheaded. But Barnaby is ours together. Barnaby is now 80 pounds, big, lovable pit bull. And he's so cute, though. But he's
James, you're looking like, oh my God, you got a cow in your house as well. She's a big
No, Isabel. They think that she's mostly black lab, but they think that she's mixed with mini collie. Really? So she looks like a black lab, but she's only 45 pounds, and she only stands to the knee.
Well, she looks bigger in the pictures. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, she looks like a great big dog. She's not. She's like you shrunk, like I washed her on hot and then threw her in the dryer. and oh crap, I got an apartment-sized dog out of it.
Yeah.
Cool, you know.
No, Barnaby jumps on your lap. He still thinks he's only a year and a half, and he still thinks he's a puppy. And he jumps on your lap like when he was 15 pounds, but now you got 80 pounds jumping on you. And
well, Webster's a Yorkie Westie mix. He's not huge, but he's heavy, and he will jump up and like Jesus, you know.
And they always land right on the jump.
Yes, they do. Right.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I love her. But first thing in the morning, that's how she wakes me up first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Bam! Time to feed me.
I'm okay. Good. Thank you. Yeah, that's Webster. And he takes up more of the bed than we do. It's amazing. And you know, it's too much fun. Boy, we would you believe we've been doing this for almost just a little over an hour, actually. again, just a delight. You guys, thank you so much. And
Oh,
you know
it's
what I
a problem.
love, guys. I got to tell you something. Now, we don't get huge audiences yet, all right? But what we do get, we keep. Our audiences stay with us and apparently enjoy what we're talking about. And I get it. I understand why. Because we have lovely people like yourselves who come on. Now, I have an idea for, and I'm going to throw this by you guys and see what you. Now, Michael, you actually put this idea back in my head earlier in the evening when we were talking in the private chat. But I want to know your opinion on this. What about having some drag performers on the show where people, yeah, we've got RuPaul's Drag Race, and you see all the weird drama they create on that. But I think people would be interested in being able to.
What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing because my friend Nat Barry Backhouse, let me tell you this, said this, and I quote, in the murder, sex, songs, world disasters, musicals, not aging well, dogs, this show has everything.
Well,
I think I may have to use that.
yes, you will. That's a good
Right
tag.
I may have to use that as a quote because that's damn funny.
Yes, it is. I think, well, see, there is a difference, and I know this from working with Kenny Kerr and Frank Marino in Las Vegas. There is a difference between a female impersonator and a drag queen. So I think that it depends on what you're going for, Joe. Are you going for a female impersonator, or are you going for a drag queen? Or, for example, like Tyler Perry, who does Medea, right? That is a character of his.
Yes. Well, I have my dear friend, oddly enough, who's also named Michael, and I have to tell you, I consider you a dear friend as well. Michael Walters does an incredible impersonation of Dame Edna Everett.
Yes, I watched him.
And now you've got everybody. You got to watch Michael and Doug. Doug is his partner. You've got to watch Miami Mondays with the girls. Michael does Dorothy, and Doug does Sophia.
Oh, how cool! Golden Girls.
And I've got to tell you something. It's fucking brilliant. That's my favorite.
Really?
I love that.
Did you see the Zoom reading of the Golden Girls with black actresses?
No.
You were absolutely lovely, wonderful, delightful. There was absolutely no reason to do that.
No, but it was a lot of fun.
I agree.
Alfrea Woodard and Tracy Ross and
I did enjoy it.
Regina King.
Is it on like YouTube? Can you watch it? Okay.
Yeah, Zoom thing. My problem with Zoom is to me, Zoom is this format that we're using here. I find much nicer and friendlier and more intimate. Zoom is all these people. It's weird. It's weird. And we can do 10 on here too, but Jesus.
So getting back to your drag queen question,
right. So
I think that it depends on what you're doing. Are you doing a gentleman who does a character like your friend Michael who does Dame Edna? Are you doing drag queens like from RuPaul's Drag Race, or female impersonators like a Frank Marino who does what's Frank's?
Or Jimmy James.
Well,
yeah,
I have to say immediately, I don't know any female impersonators to invite, so that's not going to happen. But no, I'm thinking I would like to do actually probably both, but maybe not in the same show because that might not work.
Right.
I know that sometimes there's a wall. You know what I'm saying? I know that. But I think it'd be interesting for people to be able to ask. I say drag performers. I feel like the word drag queen, and I know they like the word drag queen, so I shouldn't.
Right.
But I think it's sometimes, it's not the nice.
I've always liked gender illusionists.
Ooh, that's really cool. Did you come up with that yourself?
No, hell no.
We are so
And they're illusionists.
I will never allow this to become politically correct. I can tell you
Yes.
that right now.
Do you know I've never watched RuPaul's Drag Race?
I've
Do I
never
have to-
seen a whole episode.
Do we have to turn in our gay cards?
I'm the same way. I will watch bits and pieces of it. The Canada Drag Race right now is just, oh my God. I think it's horrible. Horrible.
Well, because Canadians are so polite and drag queens generally are not.
No, they're not.
So this must be kind of that kind of odd balance of like, no, honey, you go down the runway first. No, go ahead. No.
So if I were to do it, I would probably do it. I would probably like to do it that way, where maybe do one night with female impersonators, or not, but I mean
characters,
and then one night with drag queens, and near the twain shall meet. I think. I don't know.
I think, I like that idea, but I also think that it's important for the audience out there to understand why guys like to do drag and what is in it for them, because a transvestite, which is usually a straight man who likes to dress in women's clothing, who gets off on it sexually, and I don't understand that either.
I'm going to get in so much shit for this.
Where a drag queen is actually an entertainer, but the question is, see, for me in Las Vegas, Siegfried and Roy were not out publicly. And I was the only male entertainer. Well, they weren't out publicly. And I was the only male entertainer in Vegas that was openly gay that wasn't a female impersonator.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
At that time.
When you say Siegfried and Roy were not out publicly, okay,
right.
They never said it. But
right. Oh, we all knew, but they never actually came out and said it.
I don't think they still haven't.
Well, Roy died.
Well, Roy did pass away, didn't he?
Yeah, just a couple months ago.
But I mean, I don't think either one of them ever said it.
No, not publicly. They never.
But I think it was painfully obvious. They cared a great deal about each other, and but who gives a rat's ass what they
wait? Siegfried and Roy were gay?
You didn't know? Come on.
It's a secret.
Oh, don't say it.
We just outed them. Oh my God.
You're bad.
So there we are. So that is a possibility for next week's show, and other things that have been discussed earlier might be a possibility as well.
Sure.
Guys, I have just loved having you.
Oh, love it too.
I have the feeling that everybody who watched the show enjoyed it. As I say, I don't know what next week's going to be, but and I say it might be a repeat. And if it's a repeat, I'm probably going to repeat the Christmas in July episode because it was delightful. It really was. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, gentlemen. I love both of you so much.
Love you too, Joe. I love you, James.
I love you both.
And I'm praying to God that next year this thing is over so we can I want to come to Buffalo and at the
do it in person.
Have a drink, at the very least.
Amen.
There you go. Take care, guys.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, folks.
Good night, James. Take care, buddy.
Good night.
Okay, folks. We made it through another one. What a delight. That's the Shays Buffalo behind me, by the way. John Shay's Showplace of the North. And trust me, is still. I hope you all enjoyed. I truly do. If you want to be on the show, if you're a performer, and when I say a performer, if you work in a theme park, I don't care if you shovel stuff at a theme park, you are someone I want to have on the show. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Wear a mask. Go ahead and do it. It's not hurting anybody if you do. In fact, it's great if you do. It's better for you. It's better for them. You know what I'm saying? And let's make this a better world. As we've just talked about, come together, folks. That's the way it is. Remember, tomorrow Tomorrow in Orlando, 11:30 to 1 is Feed the Need at the Plaza Live. Come down and get some lunch and say hi to all those wonderful people down there. Hear a delightful singer singing out there. Get some applause. Let's have some fun. What do you say? There it is. Folks, thank you. God bless you. And remember, when you're out there, look for the helpers. They're out there, folks. They're helping. When you find them, join them. And finally, I'm going to do it the way I used to do it years ago. Good night, and may your God go with you, whoever that is. Take care of yourselves. Treat yourselves